Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time again, and today we're playing 26 chances for 13 cages. Now, I hope that all of you have had a lovely Christmas break, and for those of you that aren't celebrating Christmas, such as Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah as well. Um, and I guess we're coming up to 2024. It's only a handful of days away now for most of us. So really looking forward to New Year's Eve and wish you all a very happy New Year. I'm sure I'll do something for New Year, so you may hear that again before the year is out. Now, 26 chances for 13 cages. And you can see there Sleuth clearly playing some kind of high stakes poker game where I imagine the winnings are not money, but cages, maybe animal cages. It looks like there's a lot of like villainous looking characters in this thumbnail. Perhaps they're all just part of a ring that's smuggling exotic animals, and you can just about see some sort of cage behind the curtains there at the back. Shall we take a look at the puzzle? Let's do that. So we have 26 chances for 13 cages by Daniël Rokven. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly still. And a relatively straightforward set of rules today. I'm not quite getting the significance of 26 chances or 13 cages. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11? Well, right, so there's 13 cages, so that answers that. 26 chances, though, I'm not entirely getting. Let's take a look at the rule sets. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply, so that means place the digits in every row, as in digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box without any repeats. We have killer cages. I mean, it's all about killer cages today. So digits in cages must sum to the number in the top left corner and cannot repeat. So, for example, this 15 cage that's marking out almost like a plus sign, and you can see it with a dashed line, these 5 cells have to add up to this digit, which is 15. Or this number, I should say. These 4 would be 29, and you can just go across all 13 cages and discover what they look like. Lastly, we have little killers. It's all about killers today. Digits along the marked diagonals sum to the number indicated outside the grid. So essentially, we've got a couple of diagonals here. You can see that marked by the arrow. What it's saying is this diagonal, which is made up of 4 cells, if you sum them all up, they should come to 16. And then we have this large 9-cell diagonal here, and the sum of these should come up to 41. So if you feel like rescuing these animals are being smuggled, you probably won't need 26 chances to actually figure out these 13 cages. Link will be in the description down below as usual for you to play along. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So I'm looking at these cages, and a lot of them are forced. Yeah, a lot of them are forced. So, I mean, 16, 15. I'm just going to like highlight how many of these are actually forced. All of these have only one set of digits that would actually work. All of these. So it's an incredible amount of the puzzle. But at the same time, I feel like if I go around pencil marking all of them, there's just going to be an overwhelming amount of information on the screen, and I'm not sure I'm necessarily going to spot what I need to be doing. But what I can do is I'm going to try and pencil mark smartly famous last words. I mean, I will try, and then I'll probably fail, and you're going to end up seeing a bit of a mess as I actually solve this. I'm actually going to restart the clock since I've just spent the last minute talking. And here is 1, 2. Can't do 3 and 2 cells other than with 1 and 2. In 4 it is 1, 3. Now the 15 cages have to be done with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the only way you can get to 15 in 5 cells. Now because of this 1, 2 here, they clearly can't be in this 3 cells. They've got to be sort of hidden away. And we've got something very similar happening in this 15 cage down here. And I'm sort of half tempted, not entirely tempted, to sort of pencil mark the rest. I'll go with it. So, yeah, so, see, it's already messy. I mean, like, that really doesn't get me anywhere unless I just carry on pencil marking a lot more aggressively. Maybe, maybe. So here is like a piece of logic. So this 1, 2 is a question of where is it in box 4? And the answer is clearly it's not in here because of Sudoku rules. The other part is it can't be inside the 28 cage. Even if I only try and place a single 2, so not even the 1, 2 pair, because clearly there's a digit here that's not. That brings me down to 26. And then 26 in 3 cells, this with 7, 8, and 9, I can only ever get as close as 24. So essentially, one of these 1 and 2 is hiding in here. The second one is hiding in there. And we probably have something very similar going on here. Yes, we do. Because again, if I place a 3 in here, that only gets me to 26. 7, 8, and 9 only gets me to 24. So the second 1, 3, one of them is hiding in here, one of them is hiding in there. And you see, I'm trying very hard not to just go to town with pencil marking, but I'm probably going to give up in a moment and just go for it. So that 6 cage is a 1, 2, 3, for example. We know that this 29 cage is 5, 7, 8, and 9. That's the only way you can get 4 cells to add up to 29, which means there's a remainder of 2, 4, and 6 in here, and that's not a 2. 28 kind of has a few more options. So I could do 4, 7, 8, and 9. The other option would be 5, 6, 8, and 9. So that's why I'm not sure I can pencil mark this one. What worked sort of vertically, like in columns, isn't working horizontally though. And the reason for that is obviously this 1, 2 could be anywhere in here. It's not blocked off, so to speak. So the fact that this is 6, 7, 8, and 9 doesn't really have a material impact on what these digits will be. I mean, it's clearly not going to be 6, 7, 8, or 9, but it could be any of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is not great. Comes close, not quite, forming a quintuple. So, I mean, obviously there's another one in here. And remember, this doesn't have a 5. This is 1, 2, 4, and 6 to get to 16. And this can't be the 6, because I've already placed it inside the 30 cage. I am going to have to sort of do a bit more pencil marking than what I'm doing. So this is going to be a 6. 1, 3 is in here. There's another 1, 3, 2, 4. Not the 6 though. We've already left them out here, which doesn't really help other than saying that there is definitely a 5 in there. I am going to, again, just try and keep this tidy just to see what did Daniel intend with all of this. And if I can't see it, I'll just brute force it and pencil mark below. 1 and 3, 2, 4, 6. So that's quite interesting, actually. The 16 needs 1 and 3. And it can't be in these 2 cells. And actually, I'm going to take a look at... Oh, I've already got one of those. So the second one is not in here. It's got to be in one of these cells. That's a shame. I thought I was onto something. But 2, 4, 6... No, and it's not 6. In fact, it's 5. That was a mistake on my part. I mean, this is 5, 7, 8, 9. These are 5s. So 5s are not going to be in here. And because of these 5s, not there. So it's actually quite limited where the 5 can be. And it lines up with these 2. This is really... whatever Daniel intended here, I'll be honest with you guys, I am not spotting. Something that I am spotting, though, in columns 4 and 7 is where does 7, 8, and 9 go? And maybe that's the question I should be asking about this puzzle. Because 7, 8, and 9 can't go in the 16 cage, can't be in the 15 cage. But you can see now, when you look at columns 4 and 7, there are only 3 places where they can be, and it's in here. So I've got a 1, 2 pair, then 3, 4, and a definite 5. The reason I say a definite 5 is I can't put a 5 inside the 16 cage. I have to have a 6 though, because I haven't got them up there. So this is 3, 4, 6. And essentially I've got another 3, 4, and another 1, 2. So I'll just pencil mark them as 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I have a 6 tuplet where this has to be the 5. And in fact, in here, this has to be the 6. Because we've got the same thing happening here with 7, 8, 9s. There we go. This is probably what Daniel was trying to show us. These have to be the 7, 8, 9s. That's got to be the 5 now, which actually puts a huge restriction on the 17. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And I feel like essentially this has to be a 5, that has to be a 6, this has to be a 5, this has to be a 6, just because of the geometry of this puzzle. Because essentially there are no 5s anywhere in this row except this cell. And then there are no 6s anywhere in this row except this cell. Same is true. This is the, well, hang on. That could be, no, that's not a 5 because I need to put the 5 in here. Because, yep, the 7, 8, 9s. Remove the 5 from there. This has to have the 5. That's not the 5. So that is forcing a 5 in here. That's not a 5. That's a 2, 4 pair. So it's quite interesting that I was able to tidy up these and these, but not quite these. We'll take a look at the 16 in a second. This has to be the 6, I assume. Yep, that's... Hang on, no. Yeah, because there is a 6 in here. That removes the 6 from there. That's the only place for a 6. And then I have a messy 1, 2, 3, 4, except that's not 1 or 3, that's a 2, 4. I don't know if I'm meant to be thinking about coloring next. It's sort of very tempting. Very tempting. What else? 6s, they're given it's in here in this 30 cage. Can't be in here. That is the 6. I have 7, 8, 9s. I need a third. So one of them's in here, plus a low digit of some sort. So, in fact, I can actually take a look at the columns. I mean, look at just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7, 8, 9, I need a third one in here. And this low digit that goes with here to add up to 12, that's got to be either a 9, 3 available, 8, 4 available, and 7, 5 not available because I've already placed the 5 in that cage. So that's only 8 or 9. Where else should I be thinking? I think if I can figure out this 28 cage, and it's probably worthwhile me trying to soon, I imagine something very similar that's happening to column 9 can happen in column 1. And it can give us that 17 cage or that 18 cage. We have a 6 in here. We need a 10 between these two cells. That's probably worthwhile doing. In here, this 2, 9 means that this is 5, 7, 8, 9. Which means down here, I have essentially a definite 6 and a whole bunch of low digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. You can see now that where does 5 go in row 9? Well, that 5 eliminates it from here. The 5 in box 8 has to be inside the 29 cage. So there is a 5 down here inside the 18 cage. And yeah, I need to figure out the 28 cage before I can, because there's the same question is the third 7, 8, 9, is it either in this box, in this column, or is it in the 18 cage? And then it puts an immense amount of pressure on the 18 cage. So I think we'll come back to that. I say we'll come back to that. Sixes, I can place a 6 in here. This has to be the third 7, 8, 9. So actually that's all 7, 8, 9's done. So there is a low digit in here with a 5. There's 1, 7, 8, 9 there. Six is not in the 28 cage because we placed that 6. So 6 is out here. So remember, I said there's two ways of doing 28. One was 5, 6, 8, 9, and then the other one was 4, 7, 8, 9. And I think the fact that we've already placed a 6 now forces this to be 4, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to actually corner pencil mark the 4, but it also gives me essentially a triplet of 7, 8, 9s plus the 4. So there is no 7, 8, 9 here or here. There is essentially 1 in there with the 5 cage. With the 5 in the cage. So we'll come back to that, but just keep that in mind. That will give me now a whole bunch of digits. The fact that this is a 4, that 4 gives me the 2, say a whole bunch of digits, and then I immediately stop. Gives me a 4 down here, a 2 down there. These are not 2. Only place for a 2 now left in this cage is up here, and this is a 1, this is a 2. These are clearly not 2. I don't know why I didn't remove the 2 earlier. There is now a 4 in here. Not a lot to be said about that, if I'm honest. And then a 4 in here. Well, that's not the 4. That's not the 4 because we already placed them. That's the 3. That's got to be the 1. That's got to be the 4. That's the 3. That's the 1. That's the 3. This is a beautiful puzzle. Neither of these are 3s now. That's a 1, 4. We got anything that sort of breaks it, tells us what it is? That's not a 3, that's not a 2. Not for the moment. That 3 gives me the 1, 3 though. That's a 1, that's a 3. That tells me there's a definite 1 in here with the 6. In fact, I do know what this is, surely. Because this is 5, 7, 8, 9, so that's not 3 or 4. This is 1, 2, and 6. I can come back to the 16, but I just want to sort of tidy up, if you don't mind. There's still that question about that 1, 4. Why is there a question about that 1, 4, though? Not a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no, not quite enough. I'm just sort of looking for if there's a way to resolve it without having to use the killer cages just yet, but probably will need to. That's a 1, that's a 2. Well, there was no 2s in here. There's a 3, 4. So we know that there's a 1 and 5 for sure. 1 and 5. Yeah, which means this has to be the 4. This has to be the 1. The fact that I have 1 and 5 in here, yeah, it gave me that. None of these are 4 now. This is just a 1, 3, 5 triple. That's giving me this 4. This digit I can just place. It's a 3. And then we're back to these 7, 8, 9s, which, you know, I will take a look at in a moment. You know, the fact that I'm sort of resisting to pencil mark, it's probably slowing down my time. You could just sort of, like I said, brute force this. But I feel like it's a puzzle that deserves just almost like a little bit more respect. It's such beautiful construction. Let's go back to this little killer then. So we need to have a 10 between these two. I don't have 2, 8, that doesn't work. 4, 6 works. 6 up here doesn't. So that's the 6. That's the 4. That gives me the 6, the 2. That was meant to be a 6. That gives me a 1, a 2, a 3, not 2, therefore a 1, a 2, not 1, not 3, not 1 either. That's just straight up 5, 1, 3. I think we can just about do all the low digits, can't we? I think that's all the 1s done. Yep. twos, nearly. There's a 2 I can place in here, which can really be there. That's 2's done. 3's, again, nearly. That's the 3. That's not the 6. That's the 6. That's not a 4. I'll come back. I mean, I'm probably going to take a look at the 4 now. Such as, where does 4 go in box 5? It can only be in here. Therefore, that's not a 4. That's a 4. Is that all the 4s? Almost, almost. That gives me a 4 and a 5, I think. And therefore a 9. What else do we have? All the 4s done? Yes, 5s. There's a 5 in here, which can only be there. Ironically, not sure where the 5s are here. Okay, 6s. Again, almost. I'm guessing we probably need the other killer cage to actually resolve it. Sorry, little killer, I should say, not killer cage. We could just use actual cages. How about that? That's a 9. That's got to be an 8. 9. None of these now are 8s. There's got to be an 8 down here now, which gives me a 7, an 8, and therefore that's a 7, that's a 9, that's an 8, that's a 7, that's a 9, that's a 7, that's an 8-9 pair, that's not a 7, that's an 8-9 pair again. We just know what this is. That's an 8, which actually gives me the 9, resolves the 8-9 pairs. We're very nearly at the finish line now. This is an 8, and this is a 9. Right. Just to close up here. So yeah, so I did say I would probably need this. This is the moment, I think. So we've got 12 down here, 20 with the 8, 29, 30. I need an 11 between these, and it can't be 2, 9, 3, 8, 4, 7. It can only be 5, 6. And this 6 tells me where it is. That's the 5, that's the 6, that can't be a 6, that's the 6. And that 5 probably, yep, gives me the last 5. I think that's all the 5s done. That's 9 of them. All the 6s done. That's 9 of them. And let's just fill in the 7s and 9s and 8s, and we're done. That's a 7, 8, 8. Hang on, I need something in here, probably a 5. And it's got to be down there. 7 and 8. That 8 tells me the order. That's the 8. That's a 7. That's a 9. 9, 7. I need a 9 here to finish. A 7, a 9. And if I've not made any mistakes, a 7 and a finish for this absolutely phenomenal puzzle. That's beautiful, Daniel. So I think, like I said, I probably did this a little bit slower by not just trying to brute force it and just going for a whole bunch of pencil markers and just constantly trying to look for the breadcrumb trail that Daniel has sort of laid out for us to actually solve it. Now, whilst I was solving this, the other thing that sort of occurred to me is, are we meant to be, would using a fistamethel ring make this go any quicker? And I'm not sure it would, because we really only have, I mean, these digits are somewhat known. It's just the problem is that wasn't. So you can see it's just, I'm not sure. I think this is the only way to solve this puzzle. But I mean, I'd love to hear otherwise. If you spot a different path to this solution other than just good Sudoku skills and killer cage rules, let me know in the comments. I'll be very intrigued if there's a different path to solving it. Hope that you guys loved the puzzle like I did, and see you back for the next video. Bye bye for now.